What is up, podcast people? Welcome back to another episode. Sorry, it's been a minute. Summer's been crazy, but today we're gonna dive into the topic of, am I being too nice of a person to where it comes off being flirty? Like that'll be the topic we're gonna talk about today. So we got Paz with us, we got Didi with us, and we're gonna hear their opinions on being a friend to somebody, being friendly, but then hey, am I being too friendly and it comes off being flirty?
Okay.
So we'll just leave the open floor first, and then I'll start off with a question in a little bit, but I'll just open the floor now to see and hear your thoughts.
All right, that's what I think. So
I know you had a lot of thoughts.
I got a lot of thoughts. I got a lot of thoughts right now.
You had a lot of thoughts before we hit record.
I got a lot of thoughts. I ain't gonna lie. This is my thoughts, right? I feel like this is what I feel. I feel like people that are being friendly, well, not being friendly, being like flirty friendly. Like I feel like we all know the difference between being friendly and then being flirtatiously friendly. I feel like they know what they're doing. Like I know they know what they're doing because every time, like, say you address them about it, it's always like, oh, but that's just how I am. No, that's not how you are. Like that's not how you are. Like I'm pretty sure just in a random space somewhere, like you're not just acting like that. Like I feel like you know the difference between you being friendly and being flirtatiously friendly. That's what I personally think.
I think I agree. I think like you can't, like, if you meet somebody and you like them, like you automatically, like your attitude and your actions change around them, and it goes up a level. It's like, instead of being like, hey, I like your shirt, it's like, oh my God, where'd you get your shirt? It's so, it's like premeditated. The flirtatious friendliness is premeditated for sure. The other one is not. The other one is like, oh, I'm just like friendly, and you just take it the wrong way. That's on the other person, I feel like.
Is it though?
Yeah.
Is it on the other person?
Yeah.
Every coin has two sides.
But like, if I'm being like normal because I don't feel any kind of way, and you take it the wrong way because you're interested, it's like, that's on you. And then like you communicate that, and then you have to switch up, I feel like. So or like what you should be.
This is a good example. Let's say I just met you guys, just brand new.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't know if you're married, I don't know who you are, I don't know anything. And I'm like, man, we're about to do this podcast. Let me go get Paz a coffee to show her I appreciate her.
Mm-hmm.
And I walk in, I get her a coffee. I didn't bring Didi anything. I didn't get him a water. I didn't get him a coffee. I just singly got you a coffee. I said, here, just enjoy it, whatever, some snacks. And then you take that as, oh my gosh, this dude got me a coffee. He didn't bring Didi one or himself one. Maybe he likes me as a crush. Like, every coin is two sides. Like, is it on me for bringing you the coffee and just trying to be nice, or is it on you for interpreting bringing the coffee as a flirtatious way?
I think it would be on me.
How so?
Because it's like, I think if the intentions are pure from both sides, there's no like reading into it. But if you're like, okay, respectfully, I feel like if you're the type of person that's like seeking for everybody to be flirtatious with you, you're gonna take it that way. Because there's people that swear that everybody's like flirting with them because they like that feeling, even though it's like not that at all, and they can like twist something. You know what I mean? So I think, like deep down, it goes back to your heart. Like if your intentions are pure, you have like, it's not your issue, but it's the other person that thinks they're like, does that make sense?
No, I understand what you're saying, but I feel like also it's on.
You're wrong.
No, never wrong. Never wrong in my life. Look,
Relax.
Look, that's what I think. I feel like it's on both of y'all, because if you clearly bring her a coffee, right, and don't bring me anything, even me being the guy that's not even like in between that, I'm just like, I'm like, oh, like you're trying to get with her, right?
Yeah.
But like, no, listen, you understand from my perspective, okay? Well, first of all, it's kind of weird, but anyways, so that's how I would see it. Like, oh, he got her something, he didn't mean anything. Like, I'm not gonna be butthurt. I'm just gonna be like, oh, dang, like,
okay.
I guess he's feeling her. But also, it's on you. Because maybe he's just like, oh, maybe he forgot to bring me something, but you're like, oh my gosh, he didn't bring him anything, he likes me, blah, blah, blah. And now y'all got this weird, awkward thing going on where, like, he does something nice, and, like, you're always looking, like, you're looking at him some type of way, and if he does something to another girl, then you're like, oh my gosh, what did he do for me? So it's like, and it's also about, like, your thought process. And I feel like it's based on, like, your past, like, your past, like, it's just based on your past. Like, me personally, I ain't gonna lie, like, I would only do that if I'm trying to, like, flirt with somebody. Like I understand what I'm doing, but like I'm not gonna bring you a coffee and not Josh with me not knowing the intention behind of me bringing only you a coffee. You know what I'm trying to say?
Well, I guess it also depends if you're like single or not.
I mean,
Because like when you're
obviously,
single,
Yeah.
everything. Oh,
Oh,
my
yeah.
God, he looked at me during worship. Like
Yeah.
he wants me so bad. Like that's delusional. But I guess it depends because like for me, I would be like, oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Like or it also I guess it also depends on your past and stuff because like if you grow up where like the lady gets a special treatment and you don't think it's flirting, it's like okay, like I got a coffee because I'm the only lady in this conversation right now, and like Didi can get his own stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess it depends, but I don't think it's anybody's fault unless you act a certain way on purpose. Does that make sense?
I got you.
Like if I thought, oh my God, he's flirting with me, but then I used that to my advantage or I started like manipulating the situation, then that's when like the person who thinks it's the flirting, that's when they're at fault, I think, personally.
I think it was, and this is kind of what it is. It's all assumption based,
Yeah.
right? We are assuming, hey, if I bring you this coffee, right, you're either gonna take the assumption of, oh snap, he's flirting,
Yeah.
or take the assumption of, oh, he's just being a friend. Like
Yeah.
whatever it is, it's a assumption of any type, shape, or form. So if you're listening out there and you're in this boat,
situation.
whatever, trying to navigate it, there's a good chance you're making a assumption somewhere or jumping to conclusions off of something you don't know is true. Like in this example we've been going with, the only thing you know is true is that I brought you a coffee.
Yes.
Whatever the motivation was behind that
Mhm.
is up to your own discretion, but there's no facts to back that up besides a physical coffee. So I think this is where communication comes in.
I was gonna ask,
Right.
like, when does communication come in?
And this is when you start to overthink or when you let your mind create a reality that is not true.
Based on your wants and desires.
Yeah, so like
Yes.
if I brought you this coffee and then your mind starts to create a false reality of, oh my gosh, it was a coffee, then he followed me on Instagram, then he made eye contact with me, and then he gave
liked
me a
my
side
picture,
hug, or
yeah.
whatever, to where your mind creates a false reality. I think that's when you hit the time up button, and then you have full opportunity, the guy and girl, both sides say, hey, just wanted to make sure we're on the same page. Like, you brought me this coffee, I didn't know what your intentions were behind that, but is this a thing between us? This is how I feel. Like, you're able to have that conversation.
But is that too much?
No, and this is where it goes back to.
That is too
but
much.
check this out. Because, and we were even debating between the topics of guy
Right.
and girl best friends.
Okay.
And this is where it falls in line. Like we were talking, I was talking to another dude with this yesterday at Chipotle, that guys and girls should have their own separate community. Guys should have their guys
Yeah.
close knit group. Girls should have their girls close knit group. And then you should be able to get to a point of contentment. Like me personally, like I am so content with the guys in my life I have,
Mm-hmm.
to where I don't need any type of female best friend friendship or
Mhm.
whatever to fill that void. To where any type of form of, man, is this flirting, is this not, or anything like that, like the girl friendship in my life, I'm not trying to offend anybody, any type of girl friendships I would have in my life is not really adding anything
Mm-hmm.
to my life because I already have it filled. So the second anything,
Other girls in threes are gonna be like,
Oh my god.
I hate
Oh,
Josh.
yeah.
and I'll even get to the ministry point about this.
Yeah,
out,
yeah,
it
yeah.
makes it 10 times harder. Is that I don't need any type of girl friendships in my life because it's not going to add anything to it.
mm-hmm.
But I'm good. I'm content. So where if something does come across, man, me and my face, like I know, like what I'm about. Like I'm not trying to go on a talking stage for 8 months or 10 months. Like I know what I'm about and say, hey, you brought me this coffee. This is what it made me think. I want to know if that's true or not.
Yeah.
Like that, and yes, I know it sounds uncomfortable and it's awkward, but that 30-second conversation you have right then will save you 6 months of overthinking.
But isn't flirting all assumption based though? Like going back to the flirting point, like isn't that all assumption based? So if I say this is not positive, I positive obviously married, but like say it's not
Positive
positive,
married
yeah,
guys.
positive
Well,
married guys.
I'm a great example then, so it's not weird.
No, yeah, but like say it's a girl that's
Call her
single,
out. Who
right?
you want to flirt
Yeah.
with? Call her out.
I don't know about-
Oh, okay.
I'm good. Say it's a girl that's single, right?
Okay.
And say you the same thing, coffee thing, right? Like,
Yep.
isn't that it's flirting is always assumption based. Like, you never know for a fact if someone is really flirting with you, or if they don't like you. Like, you don't really know.
Okay, so like, there's where the communication comes in. But when can, cause I
Like
feel
when
like
do you initiate?
I
it?
feel
can't,
like
like,
you
right
can't
here.
communicate right then
Yeah,
and there
no.
because it's
That
like.
is a little like, hey, by the way, this is that's a little.
But I think it's hard because it's like you want to give it time, so it's either gonna be the 6 months of like guessing, or I mean, what's the timeline?
Once you start to recognize a pattern.
But what if it's And then okay. So what if the person isn't flirting? You're gonna lose a friend
Yeah, and this is
because it
where
gets awkward.
and this is where clarity is kindness. It's not clean sometimes, but if you have a friendship, like you should, any human, mature adult should be able to have another mature conversation with somebody and say, hey, this is just where my thoughts are right now because of X, Y, and Z. Help me fill in the gaps here. Like, is this true? Is it not true? If it's not, it's totally okay. But this is how I feel. So the ball is in your court on what you want to do with that information. And any mature adult should be able to have a mature
And be
conversation.
like, oh my bad, like that wasn't my intention.
Yeah, like, hey, by the way, that wasn't okay. Cool, you took that. I gave you the information. You took it with what you want. Now I know.
But I think the reality is like nobody's there. Like it takes a lot of maturity for you to sit down and be like, hey, like this is what I'm thinking, and another person be like, oh my bad, or like, oh yeah, like this is what I'm thinking too. But in the real world, like you don't have that. Like in college, you're not gonna.
Yeah.
Bro,
I know y'all stories. I know.
Bro, you're not gonna. But so it's like, what can people do, like realistically? So like ideally, because like for example, you guys can have that conversation because of your walks with Christ, because of your community, because of like the word that you know. But like in reality, when you're meeting people outside of church, even if they're Christians, like what is a realistic way to know whether it's like something friendly or flirty?
I think, man, again, it's just a simple text message of asking. I think once you start to engage the thoughts of, hey, is this flirting? Is this not flirting? Is he or she doing this? Like once you start to go down that rabbit hole, hit the timeout button and just shoot a text. Just say, hey, this is what I'm thinking, and then these are the facts to back up what I'm thinking. Like I'm thinking that maybe we got something going on because you brought me coffee and you showed up 10 minutes earlier to just hang out with me. Like this is what I'm thinking. These are the reasons why. Is this valid? Yes or no? And I think that conversation, that 1 minute conversation you have somebody, you don't have to make it awkward. Just say, hey, this is where my head's at right now. Are we on the same page? No, cool. And then you guys, man, life is 10 times easier.
But what's the timeline? Is it like after the first day, after the follow on Instagram, after 3 months? Like
me personally, I feel like a timeline. I feel like it's someone. They don't gotta be in love with you. They gotta like you a lot.
No.
It's like a little bit. Like if they know like they're feeling you a little bit. I feel like honestly after like a week or two, you can like being around them enough. Obviously, if I go to 3 strands every Monday night, that's a week difference. But like say you see them like constantly, like 2, 3, 4 times a days a week. I feel like after like the second or third week, you should get a vibe like, okay, maybe I should ask the person now, like, hey, we're just being cool friends, or is this something else that we can like continue on? Because if they like you, can be like, oh yeah, let's continue on. If they don't, I'm like, oh, it's not. And then y'all can just obviously not go your separate ways, but be like, okay, it's not a thing. We can still be friends, something like that.
I think the timeline for everybody is different, and I would throw this out. And for one person, it could be 1 day or 1 year.
That's true.
I would say it's whenever you start to become anxious about it.
Ooh.
Whenever you start to become anxious about, hey, is he flirting or is she flirting? Whether that takes 1 day or 1 year. Whenever you start to become anxious about it and you're overthinking, like that's when you need to have a mature conversation.
But you'd be surprised how many people overthink after that one action.
Oh yeah.
Like.
But that overthinking, you attach one thing that you don't know is true, like the coffee, right? The only thing you know is true about me giving you coffee is that I gave you coffee. So then we as humans, we attach the motive behind it that we make up, and then we attach 10 other things around it that
like
may
we're gonna
also
get
not be
married,
true.
like this and that,
like all this other things, and then we just build up this false reality in our head over something that wasn't even true. So I would say the timeline is whenever you and yourself become anxious about that situation, like let's hit the timeout button and have a conversation.
Yeah.
Dang, that's rough. Because I know a lot of people that like right away it's over. Like that's the person for them because of one action. You know?
And it may not end it. Like it may go great, right?
Yeah.
It may not end the friendship. Like you taking that step to initiate. Like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. This is why I'm feeling that way. That other person may be like, no, that is true. Like I want you to feel that way. I did do this for that reason. Like let's go on a date. Like let's do that. So it may turn out great, right? But if anything, it's going to give you clarity. It's going to stop you from being anxious with whoever way it goes. It may not be the outcome you desire, but it's going to save you from this false reality that you make up in your head.
You were going to say something.
Yeah. And dang, I was going to say something. I was going to say that before Josh.
So I had a lot to say for the podcast.
I do got a lot to say. But also, like, I feel like you also have to know that person, too. Like, it's good to know what yourself and being anxious and all that stuff, but also have to know the other person's personality and how they are too. Because like if I go into if I talk to a girl, right, and say it's like a week or two, like we're just being friends, blah blah, and I know she's I know she's a flirtatious person, I'm not gonna assume automatically off the bat like, oh, she's flirting to only me and only me. Like,
that's true.
I'm gonna assume that maybe she's not like this to everybody else, and then it's gonna take a little bit longer to see if I'm
you
special
have to observe,
or not. Like, you know what I'm saying? And like, people, realistic, especially in the church, Christians like to get married fast. Very fast.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Very fast.
Relax. I don't know what you're talking
barely
about.
know each other 6 months, and I don't know. And just like, you also have to not watch out for that, but be mindful of that, because some Christians take take marriage seriously. Not that some Christians take any little action and say they want to, especially like around our age, 21, 22, 23, 24, whatever. They're like, okay, now is like the time to get married. So like, you're gonna talk to a certain guy, a certain girl, whatever gender.
That's your.
And then they're gonna be like, oh, that's my thing, is getting married. Like you said, after that one interaction,
That's so true.
they're like, maybe this is a guy for me to marry. It's like, whoa, I was just being nice. I was getting you a coffee.
Yep.
I was just getting you a coffee.
I think that goes even deeper into like your identity in like Christ, because then that's a whole nother thing. Like, if you're every single guy that you meet and talk to, you automatically think they're like God sent. It's like, okay, like
chill out, homie.
Relax.
like like there's something deeper that you have to like analyze. And like, I think as a girl, I'll speak for myself, but like a lot of the friends that I talk to, we've gone through the same thing. It's like, when like you're being a little desperate, and like when you're like, that's what you're seeking, because like you think about it all the time. When you listen to a song, you think, oh my God, how great it would be if you see somebody in the grocery store, like, oh my God, like next time it's like you start being delusional, because like you're not really trusting God in that process. So I think it goes way deeper. Like, if you find yourself really thinking that way after you meet one person one time, like, take some time to analyze yourself, because it can be tricky.
Yep. Being in ministry or any type of leadership capacity over a group of people, you got to be especially if you're single, you got to be 10 times more aware of what you say, how you say it, what you say, who you're saying it to, how you say it. Like, you got to be 10 times more aware. Like, just from who you give hugs to, who you don't, who you fist bump, who you high five, how you communicate things, who you text, how late you stay up texting people. Like, you got to be 10 times more aware because of this issue. Like, as pastoral leaders, anybody in leadership position, you want to care for your people, you want to do a good job. So if they're like me, a guy, a leader, if there's a girl who's not there that Monday, it's my job to say, hey, you weren't there that Monday, and hope you can make it back this week. Like, so it puts you at a 10 times higher risk of somebody be like, oh snap, like he texted me, he said
he's been looking out, like, no, bro,
he noticed I wasn't there.
I just want to get my numbers up. Like, it's not that deep.
So anybody in a leadership, like, you got to be 10 times more aware of what you say, how you say it, who you say it to, what posts you like, what hugs you give, and I know that that's not just an overthinking thing. It is a super thing, because it just takes one. Yeah. Man, we had it. This was probably about a year ago. I won't say names, but like that thing happened, right? I followed up with a girl like, hey, sorry you weren't here. Miss you. See you next week. And she took it as, oh man, this dude likes me. And then so I had to like reel that back in, like, hey, BT Dubs, I can clarify. Because it just takes that one small spark.
That's so true. That's
for
hard.
rumors to spread, for things to start. So anybody listening in a leadership capacity, because I know we're world famous here at the Three Strand Podcast. World famous worldwide. Just make sure you keep your guard up, stay aware.
That's
fist bumps are friendly. Side hugs are friendly. Text messages, don't send them late. Like, don't
at 11 p.m.
Don't put yourself in a position, and you got to even be in a, like, hey, this is on me now. Like, when you're on the front, like, just the student level showing up, every coin has two sides. Like, you both own a part. Like, if you're the leader side, like, that's all on you. Like, are you going to put yourself in a position to be a target in a way? Like, are you going to send that late night text, or are you going to show up to a one-on-one meeting with somebody that's of the opposite sex? Like, all these other things that make this 10 times trickier. So that's why I always say, man, just clarify and communicate. Clarify and communicate. Just because it can stop wildfires from spreading.
That's hard. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Well, yeah, obviously. I didn't think about that.
Nah, yeah, and just like obviously from the leader perspective, that's hard. Also from, like, going back to the Christian part, from just a Christian guy or girl
Yeah.
perspective, that is hard as well. Cause
But we're called to love people.
Yeah.
We're called like, hey, I'm praying for you. How's life? I saw this happen with
Yeah.
your family.
Yeah,
like,
how's
can I
everything
can I
going?
take
Yeah.
care of you? Can I love on you? Can I pray for you?
yeah,
And then mistaking the Christian love that we're supposed to have for each other for like, oh snap, this dude's trying to slide.
exactly. And it's like,
That's so
and I know,
rough.
like, I'm not ugly. I know that. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like,
Okay.
I ain't saying I'm like, oh, D Michael B. Jordan, but like, I ain't ugly though. So
You're
like,
not Michael B. Jordan.
I ain't ugly though. So
Trust.
it's like, you know what? Let me just I'm just hang with the bros.
Yeah.
I'm hang with the bros now. You feel me?
That's really hard, and that I think we talked about it a long time ago when Brody and I were on a podcast. Goes back to like people's trauma, and it's like everybody wants to be in a relationship, but they haven't dealt with their stuff. And I think now, in like the society we are in today, like people are more open to talking about like therapy and like fixing yourself up, because that could mess somebody up, like because of your insecurities and your assumptions that come from your insecurities. Like you did all this stuff like for what? Like it wasn't even, nobody's like some people just haven't gotten past that, and it takes time. But like to date or to like pursue that or to pursue flirting or like starting something, like you have to be very, I feel like, strong,
Mature in Christ.
mature in
Yeah,
Christ.
I feel like
You
maturity
just
in
gotta,
Christ
you
comes
just gotta
maturity.
use your words. You just gotta
Literally.
communicate.
Yeah, but that comes with a lot of maturity,
Yeah.
because we have 40-year-olds like parents that
Yeah.
don't know how to communicate
Yeah.
because they
Yeah.
never like did the right things to like heal. It's crazy.
I'll say anybody listening, about 95% of your relationship problems, your singleness problems, your dating problems, I bet you could all boil it down to some type of miscommunication.
Yep.
It's either
All of
an
it.
assumption you made, it's you weren't mature enough to have a conversation, it's whatever it is.
Yeah.
But clarity is kindness. We say it all the time. We love clarity. But that's a good little episode. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks you guys for being on.
You know what I'm saying?
If you just learn one thing about, man, I even forgot what was the topic about flirting.
Flirting
Flirting.
or friendly.
Being
I was like,
friendly
where
and
do we go with
friendly.
this? About flirting, being friendly. Any point you start to get anxious about that situation, have a conversation. Like just communicate. It may be awkward, maybe uncomfortable, but it'll save you months of overstressing. And Jesus doesn't want you to be anxious. So maybe you should be an adult and have a grown-up conversation.
And I always say, if you're anxious, it's not it.
Oh,
Respectfully.
Yeah.
If you're anxious in any way, if you're confused in any way, if anything, like trust, I've dated for sure like a good amount of people. It's not it if you're anxious.
Not it.
you got any last things?
Yeah, last thing I want to say.
Go for it.
You said not it to you. I'm not it. No.
And that last thing, if you're being flirty on purpose, I think look. If you're being flirty on purpose, look, trust me. If you're being flirty on purpose, I feel like just love God.